Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent Lakeman. I'm with an organization in Canada called Edmonton Global. We're an economic development agency for the metropolitan Edmonton region. With me is Mayor Alanna, the mayor of one of our regional partners, Sturgeon County, and the chair of the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub. And we'll be doing a bit of a tag team presentation today about how we've built the Edmonton region's hydrogen value chain through a hub-based approach. So that's just the same title. I know you've heard a bit about Canada at this event already. If you've been at this stage, I think there's been a number of Canadian presenters. We do like to really remind everyone that our region is a real key player in Canada's hydrogen economy. In fact, of course, we've been using hydrogen in our industrial processes for well over 50 years. And I'm going to talk about some of the key projects in this region that are really demonstrating that as Canada pursues its net zero commitments, its road to net zero truly does run through the Edmonton region, with some key infrastructure, some key projects taking place. Just some high-level examples. We have 6 CO2 hubs that are really CO2 storage hubs that are really critical enablers for our hydrogen economy and our low-carbon economy. We're Canada's first and largest hydrogen hub by quite a long way, we think. Canada's first and really the world's first net zero hydrogen production complex is currently being constructed in the Edmonton region. New projects like net zero ethylene production, also enabled by carbon capture and storage, with Dow Chemicals taking a leading role in that facility. Net zero cement with Heidelberg Materials, planning for a major net zero cement complex in the Edmonton area. And of course, we have a fast growing renewable sector as well, and that's continuing to drive low carbon activities within our region. And this is all because we have abundant low-cost feedstock, really discounted natural gas, even below the United States average price for natural gas. So it really makes this region very attractive for hydrogen production. That energy sector experience that we've had developed since the 1940s, essentially, in our region. Clean energy innovation, international collaborations, strong access to export markets. We're a little more focused on the Asia market rather than the European market, just given our proximity on the western side of Canada. But also experience in deploying technologies, really world-leading projects like our oil sands projects, really significant mega projects that are valued in the several billions of dollars each. Just if we look at our region again within the province of Alberta, you'll see in blue on the bottom, and we're right in the middle of the province of Alberta, and our 14 municipalities are shown on this map. And what's exciting is hydrogen provides some really incredible opportunities for all parts of our region, whether it's where we're producing hydrogen or where we're using it in the transportation sector, residential sector with blending projects, for example. Even our airport is doing some really exciting work on hydrogen use in aviation and in that airport environment. Strong research organizations spread throughout our community as well, federal labs, provincial labs, municipal, regional, and private sector labs as well, doing a lot of work right now on hydrogen. Just really an executive summary in short, why is this region such an exciting location? We have a strong policy framework, a high degree of alignment across governments, municipal governments, federal governments, provincial governments. We can produce hydrogen at some of the lowest cost in the world, again, because of that low-cost natural gas combined with our experience in large-scale carbon capture and storage projects. We've had over 9 years of projects that have been injecting over 1 million tons of CO2 per year. Shell, for example, with the Shell Quest project that started that off many years back. And again, that experience and expertise from oil and gas, world-class carbon capture, utilization and storage capabilities, access to Western ports. You can see that map on the bottom. Edmonton, where that green dot is located. Really great access to the Port of Prince Rupert to the west, also Vancouver, as well as the north-south and east-west transportation corridors with rail and highways. And hydrogen is playing a major role in all of those transportation networks. And a really diversified industrial base. We'll speak in a moment probably to our petrochemical cluster that's really been driving hydrogen use within this region for many years now, and that's where we're seeing many of these net zero projects. So our petrochemical cluster is probably second only to the Houston area as far as size and scale. And I should have just noted also the Alberta Carbon Trunk Line, an example of the world's largest CO2 pipeline that's now been operational for, I think, approximately 4 or 5 years. And it's oversized. It's currently transporting just between 1 and 2 million tons of CO2 per year, but it's built to actually handle up to 14 million tons. So a size to support some of the future growth within this region. And that's, again, a trunk line that goes about 200 kilometers, starting in our region down to the central part of Alberta. I'm going to pass it over now to Mayor Alanna Hnatiw, who's the chair of the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub, and she'll speak further about some of these key facets.
Oh, I should do that.
Thank you, Brent.
I'm a podium clutcher, so I'm going to stand over here. So the hub partners were instrumental in the development of the strategies, both at the provincial and the federal level, by an initial white paper that was crafted by the Transition Accelerator and supported by the Alberta's Industrial Heartland Association members. Several major projects on the supply side have been announced since then, as well as mentioned hydrogen enabling the Dow Net Zero ethylene investment of $10 billion, and as well as concrete and CCS investments as well. So in the Edmonton region, we are playing to our strengths and integrating from the supply side through to local demand to decarbonize both the industry, heavy haul transportation, space heating, as well as using hydrogen as a storage mechanism for intermittent renewables. And all of this work began with a local coalition of the willing of all levels of government, academia, and First Nations to coordinate and to facilitate both regionally and provincially, and to advocate for the enabling policies to create both an inclusive energy evolution and one that also had economic reconciliation opportunities for Canada's First Nations. So as you can see here, initially we worked on mapping the ecosystem assets and strategies to create full value chains in the region, connecting to hubs beyond the region. And there's a number of enabling incentives provided by all levels of government. We've got some provincial investment tax credits up to 12% for the Alberta Petrochemical Incentive Program. There's also a tier fund for heavy emitters, and which will help to create carbon credits that can be monetized to assist with a business case. As well, at the municipal level, there is a Heartland incentive policy, which can get you up to 2.5% of your capex returned over 10 years. As well, both provincial and federal governments have Indigenous opportunity funds, either through grants or through loan guarantees to support both partnerships and full ownerships from First Nations, which again is very important to us. As well, on the federal side, there's carbon contracts for difference, finally. As well, we have clean hydrogen ITCs that can get you between 15 and 40% of your credits, depending on the level of emissions for your projects. There's clean electricity ITCs that get you up to 30% for renewable projects, as well as clean technology investment ITCs. As well, there's clean tech manufacturing ITCs that can get you up to 30% of your manufacturing for any technology which will be able to lower the cost of hydrogen in Canada. There's CCUS as well that can get you between 37 to 60% of your ITCs for the capture, transportation, and storage of emissions that are benefiting both facilities that are producing hydrogen from LNG. We've got the Clean Fuels Fund that has $1.5 billion to support the production of hydrogen and synthetic fuels, as well as the Strategic Innovation Fund for Net Zero Accelerator. We've got the Canada Growth Fund that's got $15 billion to support the scale-up of existing technologies beyond pilot and demonstration projects. There's the Canada Infrastructure Bank as well that can do loan funding for front-end and engineering design. There's the Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Program that's got $680 million. The Zero Emission Transit Fund is also $2.75 billion. And then there's as well medium and heavy duty zero emission vehicles up to $200,000 per vehicle. We've got zero emission trucking, as well as Federation of Canadian Municipalities has $1 billion for green commercial funds for up to $500,000 to municipalities who are looking to decarbonize their fleets and use alternative fuels. We've got clean fuel regulations that will require 15% of carbon reduction by 2030 as compared to 2016 standards, I believe. And so these regulations have established a credit market that will, for producers and importers, that can also be matched or layered onto the tier funds at the provincial level. And so I think these are strong signals from all levels of government that we are open for business and looking to find a way to make your business case viable to support us in decarbonizing at home and abroad. Thank you.
So as you can see, we have many projects now launched in the Hydrogen Hub to really service the hydrogen demand potentially in transportation as well as heat and power. And again, we've mapped out some of the facilities, some of the key corridors where this work is taking place. And what's really exciting is our region is really home to many of the leading pilot projects, certainly in North America and even in the world, in using hydrogen. So you see just example here in the mobility sector, how we're demonstrating both the hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. I know in Europe we're seeing lots of hydrogen fuel cell buses already, but not as many in Canada, but we're now demonstrating those in Edmonton with the city of Edmonton, the county of Strathcona, one of our surrounding regions, as well as demonstration of dual fuel vehicles. We feel dual fuel offers a lot of advantages to our region. We can't necessarily wait until the cost of the hydrogen fuel cell trucks and buses come down. So in the meantime, making conversions of existing capital stock to make use of dual fuel technology that we're hearing now can actually allow for as much as 80% diesel displacement in the engines. As well, though, we're demonstrating all the latest technologies like the Nikola truck that's on the bottom picture, being tested by Bison Transportation, one of Canada's largest fleets, trying to get more experience using the fuel cell trucks. And again, we have very long distances in Canada compared to Europe, very heavy loads, so needing some really uniquely produced vehicles that can meet the requirements of our commercial fleets. And I should have just mentioned even the CP, now Canadian Pacific Kansas City Rail, or CPKC locomotive, making use of the Ballard fuel cell. That was the first of its kind demonstration of fuel cells in this freight locomotive environment. Again, very long trains in Western Canada, several kilometers in length, to really test that fuel cells may be appropriate for those types of train units. Just many examples all taking place in the Edmonton region. Again, trucks, buses, the aviation sector. Our airport is a world leader in using hydrogen technologies in the aviation environment, whether it's ground service fleets, whether it's the taxi fleets, or whether it's actual zero-emission aircraft themselves and partnerships with companies like Zero Avia as an example. So you'll see a lot more from the Edmonton region, from our airport, around hydrogen using equipment. And what we've been doing now most recently, 1 year ago, we launched the 5,000 Hydrogen Vehicle Challenge. And it's actually because we learned about some of the consortia building approaches here in the Netherlands and trying to take that approach to pulling together all parts of the hydrogen value chain to go beyond these initial pilot projects and start to deploy much more significant numbers in our municipal fleets, in our commercial fleets, in our airport environment, and working together to share learnings, share infrastructure. And you see many of those logos of the companies that are participating in the 5,000 Hydrogen Vehicle Challenge. They really like the idea of rallying around this very aggressive goal of converting 5,000 vehicles over, whether it's a dual fuel technology or a fuel cell technology, in the next 5 years. But we're not stopping just on the transportation sector. Hydrogen use in heat and power, some exciting projects in our region, looking at blending projects in one of our surrounding municipalities called Fort Saskatchewan, starting with a 5% blend, but going up potentially to a 20% blend within the natural gas distribution system. The same company is also developing the Energy Discovery Centre, which is Canada's first 100% hydrogen building, following it up with some specific opportunities in other regional buildings, like one of our recreation centres, to convert a combined heat and power unit to a hydrogen consuming unit, and even looking towards 100% hydrogen communities. So our hub organizations are really coming to Europe, coming to the Netherlands to learn more about some of those 100% communities also here in the Netherlands. So I think there's opportunities for sharing between our regions. And just continued announcements about continuing to build out hydrogen refueling infrastructure. Just some announcements that took place 2 weeks ago at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention. So a great annual conference in Edmonton to learn more about all the exciting work. And you'll see some of those key players, both from small innovation companies to some of the larger players that are building out the refueling networks across key corridors within our region. Just lastly, we do continue to have challenges in hydrogen production and use, but really it's not challenges on the production side. Our region has demonstrated we can produce hydrogen very cost competitively with anywhere else in the world. Industrial applications continue to drive the majority of the demand, and that is sort of the key offtake. But now as we build out more hydrogen and mobility, we see we need more coordination, and that's really where a hub-based approach makes a lot of sense, to begin coordinating the parties, whether it's through initiatives like 5,000 hydrogen vehicles or other related initiatives. And also in heat and power, these early projects will require strong policy regulatory support from the government. So these pilot projects are really critical for demonstrating we can do this safely and efficiently. We are focused on the export markets as well, and that also requires supportive enabling infrastructure, coordination across governments, and our governments in the province of Alberta, the province of British Columbia, and the federal government of Canada are really working closely together to support ammonia exports to Asia. So we're focused, I know this conference maybe on Europe, but also a very similar level of emphasis on supporting the export opportunities into Asia, and those are incredibly significant for our region. So that's all for us. You can please contact me or contact both of us. We'll be at the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub booth under the Canadian Pavilion, and look forward to responding to any questions you may have there. Thank you very much.